So I just got back from my summer festival, Divergent Music at Laundry School of Music, where we had a wonderful 10 days of performing and coaching and playing with contemporary chamber music and contemporary solo music, where I got to work with a ton of students and have a great time. And when I got back, I had this pouch in the mail. And this pouch includes Mouthpiece and a couple of rim selections from Doug Elliott. They come in these like wonderful little pockets, packets. And then there's two rim sizes that also came with this as well. And I was really happy to start to try out this mouthpiece. I think it's actually a contender for the mouthpiece that I might use as my everyday player. We're going to do a quick comparison video today, especially so I can kind of listen back. I'm going to talk a little bit about these mouthpieces and what I feel after having done a couple of days of playing on them. First off, Doug's mouthpieces are modular. They split apart. So like you can easily change out the rims, which is fun. Or you can do the same thing with the shank down here, which isn't twisting as much because I've put it in the mouthpiece. I've put in the instrument a couple times. So for instance, when Doug sent me these extra rim sizes, this being the XT103 and this being the XT102, which he originally had threaded onto the piece, you can easily swap them in and out and get a feel for what we like to do. Right now I'm playing on XT104, if that's readable at all. The cup size is an XTG, and the shank is a G8. Wonderful craftsmanship on these mouthpieces. They look pretty cool, and people like to pick out the modular aspect of them, and also it picks up very visually to the eye. The only one I'd say that's like as aesthetic is probably the Long Island brass mouthpieces. They have a very similar vibe to them though, in that they're very well handcrafted, and you could tell that Doug put a lot of time and effort into making this system and these mouthpieces. So the first thing I noticed with this mouthpiece was comfort. It's a very, very, very comfortable mouthpiece, and it feels very good on the chops to play. As well as it's very, very, very even through the registers. I've been finding that with my original mouthpiece, my original daily driver I've been using lately, the Laskey mouthpiece, I've been finding that when I go from something high to something low, there's just this moment where the tone gets a little bit nasally, and I have to remember to drop my jaw and keep the sound nice and open. But when I'm playing on Doug's mouthpiece here, it feels like a lot of that kind of disappears. And it feels slightly more open through the registers. Normally, when I play my normal Laskey mouthpiece, it's for solo playing, and it really helps me play all over the horn from the extreme highs to the extreme lows. So, when I switch mouthpieces, for instance, I've been using this Alessi 55 Symphonic, the new Laskey line, when I want to do more orchestral work. When I switch mouthpieces, sometimes I feel like that top range or the bottom range gets a little compromised. There, the bottom range feels good, but the top range, it takes a little bit more effort to get through the mass. With Doug's mouthpiece, I'm feeling like I could connect the top ranges and the bottom ranges in both ways that I like a lot. In particular, I feel like I get a lot of sound out of that extreme lowest pedal range down to the pedal C that I don't always achieve on my normal daily driver Laskey mouthpiece. That to me feels a little bit more insubstantial, a little bit more choppy, and a little bit less core to the sound that I'm feeling on this new Doug Elliott mouthpiece. Just feels like there's more tone in the sound. One place where this really stood out to me as a really nice option is on the Bach First Cello Suite. I usually work on those intervals, going back to my Laskey here, 59D Daily Driver. I like to work on those intervals in the low to medium range to make sure they're as clear as possible, like so. And it's tricky. It's just hard to play Bach on tenor trombone. When I switch to the Laskey-Alessi mouthpiece, some of the same problems come across. Although I will say that the Laskey-Alessi mouthpiece has a bit more body and length to the sound, which isn't always what I look for in solo and chamber playing. It makes the Bach transitions feel a little bit easier. But the bottom note to me feels like it just pops out of the horn a little bit more in less of a lyrical manner than I'd like. Playing the same thing on the Doug Elliott mouthpiece feels like it lets me keep some more of the lyricism and some of the creaminess between notes. It feels the most comfortable in this to me. It is a very, very, very comfortable ease going through the registers. Now, I find that it's really interesting switching the rim on these mouthpieces and kind of hearing the same thing. So I'm going to take off the 104 rim, which is the widest of them, and I'm going to pop on the 102 rim that Doug sent me and he originally had set up for the horn. Gives it a more focused feel, and it's still really comfortable. Let's see how this sounds on the same Bach I just played. So that's a very nice feel to it too. And the tone quality is a little bit more like compact. I like it. It's a more like a classic 5G sound, and a more classic like old school principal trombone orchestral sound, if I think with that. And I also have this 103 rim here, which is like the Goldilocks rim. It's the one that's right in the middle, right? So let's see what this feels like. This is the 103 rim mouthpiece on the same Bach. Again, a very, very, very nice feel on it. I kind of like the warmness of the tone color I get on the 104 the most right now, but I do recognize that the 102 and the 103 might have their places on specific repertoire. In past videos in this apartment, I've done Bolero on principal trombone mouthpieces and Saint-Saens 3 with this kind of recording setup and in this kind of room. If anybody wants to go back and listen to those, I'm going to play this Doug Elliott mouthpiece on Bolero and Saint-Saens 3. So I have my own reference to go back and see how they line up with everything. I will say, for Saint-Saens 3, this feels by far the best mouthpiece I've ever played. And hopefully that comes across in the video and it comes across when I'm listening back to it. But first we'll do Bolero. Again, to me, this feels very comfortable and very well rounded. It sings in the upper register, and I feel like it doesn't give up too much in the lower register as well. I'm looking forward going back and listening to all those little Bolero recordings I did and seeing how this compares one on one. Now, the Saint-Saens is the one where this mouthpiece immediately jumped out to me as something that could be very special and maybe like my daily mouthpiece for a while. I just felt like the connection between notes was very different than the connection between notes on my normal mouthpieces feel. So let me see if I can demonstrate that, what I mean, and you can listen back to the other principal tremolo mouthpiece videos I did on it and see if you can hear a difference as well. To me, this is probably the best feeling mouthpiece I've ever played in my life, for in terms of like the feel on the face, the feel of the connections, the feel of the air going straight into the instrument. I'm really enjoying that aspect. For my own edification, I'm going to do a quick comparison on Fratres. I'm just going to play a couple of notes from it. Let me pull up the music because I just would like to hear for myself what this difference is like. So just going to do a couple of seconds of this on my normal mouthpiece, the mouthpiece I usually play this on audition, on not auditions, I don't audition on this, on my recitals. So that's my normal Laskey 59D. We're going to try the Alessi 55 symphonic, just as a quick comparison of what a very orchestral style mouthpiece would feel like on this. Again, towards the end, I started to feel some more fatigue really quickly, and I started to feel some sound come into the sound. Some like air or something. And now let's try Doug's mouthpiece on the same. And just for curiosity's sake, I'd like to compare the smallest of the mouthpiece rim sizes, the 102, on the same excerpt, just to kind of keep going through things. I really do like the ease that you can switch in and out rim shapes with this. It's nice to like just kind of go. Very interesting feel, very direct. Feels like there's a lot of core in the sound, and maybe in like really large acoustics that could work out very well as a nice way to go through it. And finally, given how excited I am to kind of hear this mouthpiece, I'd just like to try a little bit of the David concertino, just to get an idea. Again, we're going to go through it with the Laskey 59D first to kind of get a baseline of what my normal approach to playing is. And I want to feel what some of the louder, more like concerto-ish sounds are like with these setups. Now on the Alessi-Laskey 55 symphonic. Again, with this, I always find I have to think really hard about the articulations on most Alessi style mouthpieces, although I always feel like they do have a fantastic body and length to them. And finally, now the same kind of quasi exposition of David on Doug's mouthpiece. So, a really lovely mouthpiece, very well designed. I'd like to thank Doug for sending this to me, and it's been really happy to spend the last couple of days getting to know it. I look forward to kind of listening back to this video and seeing what I see from the outside. And if you all notice anything as well, please let me know in the comments. Feel free to tell me what you heard, what you liked, what you thought didn't sound quite as good. And I'm always happy for the feedback. All right, thank you again for listening.